Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And you can see me also, I guess.
Yes, yes. I can see you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
on WhatsApp, I'm sharing the YouTube live link, which the audience will be joining. Okay. So you can open it on your phone in order to understand what exactly the user will say.
Hang on 1 minute. I'm just trying to give me a second.
Sure.
Hi, Pragati. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Excellent. So I've got it open on my phone,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
So if you open that link, YouTube live link on your phone, so you'll
Yep.
see like there's a slight lag. So whatever you're saying me right now, after a few seconds, people would be able to hear it on YouTube.
Okay, but right now it says the video is unavailable with restricted mode enabled. To view the video, you will need to disable restricted mode.
So like which link, like the one which I've shared with you right now, you have joined that one, now on
Yeah,
phone, YouTube live link.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, just a second. Let me just share another link.
Yeah, because this one says it's restricted mode.
This is strange. It should not happen. Can you just try once again because this is the only link? Or maybe if you could share the screenshots over WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm sharing it to you right now. Got it?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess there is some setting which you need to change on your phone.
On my phone.
Yeah, there's one setting option, right? Can you see that?
Okay, I'll see a setting on top there. And the
Yeah.
only thing it says is quality. Oh, okay, let's just see. No, nothing's happening because the only thing it gives me is quality and closed caption
Okay.
for the settings.
Okay, so let me just check it at my end as well. Because here, like all the restrictions I have not added any restrictions here. It is very strange if this is happening.
Uh, I got no idea because I've never used this platform before,
Hmm.
so I have no idea of
Yeah.
the.
Just a second, let me just try a few things.
I'm going through my settings right now also on YouTube, right?
Okay. Hmm.
Uh,
Okay. By the let me just see how we can fix this. By the time, like let me just brief you a little bit. So on YouTube, there would be a slight lag of like 2 to 3 seconds of whatever you're saying,
right,
and when the participants will hear. So, like
right,
while you're asking them any questions, so you need to keep that in mind that you'll receive the
okay,
response after a gap of 2 to 3 seconds. Okay.
right.
Then, secondly, you can try using the screen share option right now. So that,
This is the screen share. Yep.
yeah,
Okay, give me a second.
sure.
Okay. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I can see it. Can you see it on your screen?
Where?
On your screen. Can you see the presentation?
I'm seeing the presentation, but I can't see anything else right now.
Okay. So
So
for that, like I'm just fixing that link so that you can see it on your phone. How is it looking? Okay.
yeah,
So just one suggestion here, like on the first slide, like the Surasa logo is already there on the top right corner, right?
yeah,
So can we
yeah.
just remove the one which is there in the center?
Yeah.
So can we just Okay, so this link is working on my phone. Like I've tried using the same link on a different phone.
Okay, let me try again.
Yeah.
I got no idea why it's doing the same thing.
Can you
Uh,
try some another phone or maybe try using this link on a new tab on your laptop if possible?
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, yep. I'm seeing it on my laptop. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it on my phone. I think I'll get another laptop. Give me a second, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
And you can see the presentation and everything, right? Like even you are visible properly.
yeah.
Okay.
Wow, there's a very long leg. It's about 10, it's almost about 10 seconds leg.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long leg. So, all right, let me get the other laptop. I'll be back.
Yeah, because yeah, it happens sometimes due to the internet issue, maybe.
Pragati, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I've got it open on the other computer.
Okay.
All right, and you can see me also, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. What time do we open up to participants?
Okay, so like now the reminders would be sent so people will start joining, like in just 2, 3 minutes, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So currently your PPT is not in a slideshow mode. So during the
Yeah, I know.
presentation, we'll do it that way. Rest
Uh,
it looks good.
so how do I stop sharing? Yeah.
Now, like there's another option here of private chat. So I've just sent you a
Sorry.
message. There is one option of private chat on your screen. So can you see my
On
message?
message from audience. Oh yeah, I can see a private chat here.
Yeah. So here both of us can chat in case you have any queries or something. So you can type it down here, only I can see this. Okay?
But right now on my presentation screen, I'm only seeing my present. I'm only seeing my presentation, right?
Yeah. And
But
yourself. Like your video is also visible.
no, on my presentation, uh,
So if you want to see na how is it looking to the audience, you can check on that
yeah,
YouTube live
you're
wala
right. That's right.
yes.
Because right now
Hmm.
I'm just seeing my presentation on my presentation. I mean, on my computer that I'm presenting, all I'm seeing is the PowerPoint screen. I can't see anything else. I can't see your your um, your chat or anything else on my screen that I'm presenting on.
So like chats won't be visible to you on your screen. Okay, it will be visible in the comment section. And right now there is
Yeah,
no
yeah.
chat.
Oh
That's also you can't
no,
see it.
no. What I'm saying is right now. Let me just.
Hmm.
Uh, oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Right. So
So
in
can you see the
terms of
chats now? Like people have
yeah, I can.
started commenting.
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
that. Yeah. Good.
So everything good to go?
I think everything is good to go.
Okay.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the masterclass today. Thank you for joining us. We've got a couple of minutes before we start. Really excited to be sharing with you today uh, this special topic about creating a positive learning environment, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic. Yes, I hope you can hear me. So just give me a yes quickly if you can hear me. Excellent. Thank you very much, Shabana. That's awesome. I'm glad you could hear me. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got a couple of minutes before we start, waiting for a few more people to join. Really excited to see so many of you. I see a couple of familiar names. Looking forward to sharing with you some insights into creating a positive learning environment in your classroom. And like I was saying earlier, especially since we've come out of the COVID pandemic, we want to make sure that we all walk into our classrooms, creating an environment where students are excited to be in your classroom. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our ITO masterclass on how to create a positive learning environment in your classroom. I'm really glad that you could join us. I hope you find our time together today productive and fruitful. Please use the comment box to write in any questions, answer answer questions as we go through the session. There will be a couple of opportunities for us to uh, interact with activities. And I would like to ask you to use your chat box or the comment box to answer those questions. And if you do have any problems, just to write those questions in or state the problems in the comment box. Okay, a little bit about myself. My name is David Dasari. I'm from South Africa. I have about 30 years of teaching experience and leadership experience across 5 countries. I've taught at international schools in South Africa, Qatar, China, Beijing and Qingdao, Singapore, and the UAE, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. I'm currently leading the curriculum at an American curriculum school in Abu Dhabi. Um, as part of my investment into teacher training, I've led teacher training workshops in Mumbai, Delhi, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Bangalore, Jakarta, and Singapore. And these are face-to-face workshops, but I've actually facilitated more than 80 online workshops and professional development sessions. I am a workshop developer and consultant with the International Baccalaureate organization. I'm extremely passionate about student learning and helping teachers grow into a place where they can bring maximum value to their students. I hope some of that passion comes through today. I'm an ex-education specialist and teacher trainer and employability coach from Suraasa. Some of you may have seen me there working there previously. I'm the founder of Teacher Empowerment Consultants, which really focuses on school improvement and best practice. And I'm currently, like I said, working in an American curriculum school in the UAE. Um, a couple of things before we jump right into the session. Please make sure you have a notebook available to make notes as we go through this masterclass. There will be a Q&A session at the end. Please feel free to use the comment section to write your responses and questions. This is a masterclass designed to give you general information. It's meant to open doors, get you thinking around some strategies on how to create positive learning environments in your classroom. And it is the starting point of your journey if you are committed to creating a positive learning environment in your classroom. Remember the bank savings model, which is what you put in is what you get out. Okay. So I hope you put a lot of yourself into today, and I hope that you get out a big investment at the end of this time today. Great. So the key takeaways from today's session are simply about using effective classroom management techniques to create a positive learning environment using data, using effective questioning, and using technology to create a positive learning environment. So I'd like you to think about the following question. Okay, I'd like you to share, and this is about really exploring our beliefs. Think about the following question. Tell me what your honest answer is. I believe that a positive learning environment is. And once you have thought about it, I'd like you to share in the comment section. So I'd like you to write your comments down in your notebook. Okay, first, I believe that a positive learning environment is, and once you've done that, I'd like you to share in there. I see some. Thank you very much, Manju. It should be child centric. Thank you, Ruby, where learners feel open to share. Excellent, good stuff. Lots of great answers coming up. Being able to share your ideas freely, effective filter, collaborative teamwork. Lovely. Thank you, guys. Some really good answers coming up. Nikki talks about it being safe. Daniel talks about it being child centered. Harpreet talks about it being interactive. Really good stuff. And I'm really happy about the responses I'm getting at the moment, because they really, really point towards being able to um, and I can see that people have a very good grasp, a good understanding of the starting point of our journey of exploring together. And I think what I want for us to do is to be able to take away learnings today and strategies and resources that will take your current definition of what a positive learning environment is and upskill it, upgrade it to something that is perfect for your classroom. Now, is there a one size fit all? Yeah, as a starting point, there is. Okay, as a starting point, and we're going to be talking about some of those one size fit all approaches today, but it does get personal in your classroom, because only you know your kids, only you know your students well. And as we go through this journey, I'm hoping that it'll prompt you, it'll probe your mind, you'll be able to come up with some strategies that will be applicable to your classroom in particular. Thank you very much for all of those entries in the comment box. I see a lot about student-centered learning, and thank you very much for sharing. I can see already that we're practicing the bank investment model, or the bank saving model, is which is what we put in is what you get out. Thank you very much for all of your contributions so far. Let's go. Now, I have some questions for you, right? Which of the following statements are clear characteristics of a positive learning environment? So all I need you to do is, as they come up, okay, I'd like you to say A equals yes or no. All right. So the first one, sorry, number one. Don't say A. Number one equals yes or no. Go. Excellent. So I see a lot of yeses. I see a lot of nos. We are going to look at those. We're going to look at that in a bit more detail shortly. Students are always having lots of fun. What about number two? All students score high grades in every assessment. Make sure you write down the number that you're responding to, right? Because I'm looking at a number of comments here, and sometimes they get mixed up between number one and two. So from now on, write down the number and write down yes or no. Okay, good. I see a fair distribution of yeses and nos. Okay, what about this one? Students get to do what they want. Okay, I see answers coming in. I see a number of nos. I see a lot of yeses. All right, good. Number four. Student find assessments easy and quick to finish. a lot of a lot of yeses, a lot of no's. Actually, a fair distribution of yeses and no's. What about this one? Some people are thinking about their answers now, giving me a little bit more explanation. Lots of yeses. Uh, Thank you, Tasneem. You said yes, but the teacher tone must be positive. Good. What about this one? Number 6. The classroom is always quiet and orderly. I see a lot of no's for number 6. Okay, let's have a look at some of these. But here's an interesting fact. All right, you ready for this? None of these truly describe the characteristics of a positive learning environment. So when you look at when you look at these, students are always having lots of fun. Students score high grades in every assessment. I think you want students to have fun. You want them to score, okay? But not every student is going to do that, and that's where your role as a teacher comes in, as the professional in the classroom, to create the positive learning environment. Students don't get to do what they want. You, the professional in the class, you get to decide what's best for the different activities and learning engagements. If students find assessments easy and quick to finish, no, that's not. Then we're not challenging students according to their uh, ability levels. Teacher feedback is always positive. No, it and someone said it right. The tone will be positive. What you want to say will be presented in a positive way, but the feedback based on student performance will not always be positive. Okay, and the culture you create in the classroom about how you give the feedback is an important part, right? And lastly, the classroom is always quiet and orderly. I said I see that there was a definite no from most people. Okay, and that's a great place to be, because if you want students to have a voice, if you want students to be excited, very rarely is that in a quiet and orderly class. Now, I am not saying that it should not be orderly in terms of learning, but you don't need a quiet class where people got their hands, their fingers on their lips, sitting down quiet the entire class to be able to learn effectively. And so, none of these truly describe the characteristics of a positive learning environment. Now, so what is a positive learning environment? I've highlighted a few words from these definitions. Now, these are the definitions taken from professionals all over the world, people that are specialized in teacher training and learning environments. For example, Ohio State University and a number of professionals here at Suraasa. Um, a positive learning environment means a setting where all students experience a safe, healthy, caring environment which fosters respect and high expectations, maximizes potential, and motivates interest and enthusiasm. Take a moment to take this in. That first part is loaded with so many words. Okay, I'd like you to write down in in the comment section the one word that sticks out for you in the first paragraph. Just the one word. I'm sure many of them do, but the one that really resonates with with you as a professional, which is the word that really resonates with you. Safe, positive, curious, enthusiasm, healthy, high expectations, motivate, respect, potential. Very good. Great stuff, guys. And I can see that each one of you, and I see a wide range of answers. So there isn't one that's coming up as a top answer. And that's exactly what it should be, because every one of us brings our own personality into the classroom. As teachers, we bring ourselves into the classroom. So the word that sticks out for you is the one that's dear and near to your heart. And so when you say safe, that's something that you committed to. That's something that catches your attention. But research tells us students learn better when they are part of a supportive community of learners. Okay? And a supportive learning community is one that's made up of everything on the top. Supportive, as in you, as the teacher, create a culture of supporting students yourself and students supporting each other. So when teachers create a positive learning environment where students feel accepted, seen, and valued, they are more likely to succeed. If you want your students to succeed, okay, I know that this sounds like a silly question, but if you want your students to succeed, write down yes right now in the comment box. Yes, I want to see my students succeed. Yes, that's all. And here comes the answers. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for your commitment. The fact that you are here says a lot about that. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. And I think this is an important part of starting this journey of saying, yes, 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 I want to be that teacher that creates a positive learning environment. Yes, I want to be that teacher who caters for every single student in my class. Yes, I want to be that teacher that creates a safe learning environment, a healthy, caring learning environment. Yes, I want to be that teacher who fosters respect and high expectations in my class. Yes, I want to be the teacher who causes every single student, who sets the environment, who sets the platform for every single student in my class to succeed. Well done, guys. Thank you very, very much for that. Okay, let's start with getting to know your practices. Do you consider the learning environment in your classroom to be positive? Yes or no? Now, before you answer, okay, before you answer, here's something for you to consider. Take a moment, look at what this is saying, think about everything that's covered in this definition, and then let's put an honest answer in there. So this is not about anyone else. This is about you looking at you. Okay? Awesome. I see a lot of yeses. That's amazing. So here's the next question, right? The next question is very, very important. So take a moment to listen to what I'm going to say. Okay, and the answer is still yes or no, but here's the question. Do I want to get better at creating a positive learning environment in my classroom? Or can I improve in creating a better learning environment, a better positive learning environment in my classroom? Excellent. Yes, yes, yes. I see a lot of yeses. And you know what? This is a very positive thing uh, for me, guys. And that is education, learning is a lifelong process. And if anyone said no, then you basically are saying, I've arrived, I don't need to learn anymore. Okay, so here's a question for me. Okay, do I need to learn more about creating a positive learning environment? Or because I train teachers right now as part of my job, do I need to still focus on helping teachers uh, create a positive learning environment? The answer is yes. Yes, yes. Well done, guys. Thank you. All right. So let's focusing a little bit. There's a wide range of approaches. So if you look at this definition, you can see already there's such a wide range of definitions and requirements for creating a positive learning environment. And the actual fact is, if we had to focus in on each one of these, we'll most probably spend a few days together. So uh, in order for us to do this, for us to respect what we want to do during this time, I've decided to focus in for this masterclass on just four things as a means of creating a positive learning environment. And and that is an effective classroom management techniques, effective use of data, effective use of questioning techniques, and the effective use of technology in creating a positive learning environment. So we've got a bunch of stuff. We've looked at all of the definitions, we've looked at all of the requirements, and for now, we are going to be focusing on these four things. All right, now here's a question for you before we jump right into our masterclass for today. All right, this was just the introduction. Which one of these four do you think you want to learn most about? Well, you can put in more than one, okay? But which one do you think, like, I'm here, I want to learn, I really want to grow in my professional techniques, okay? And this is the one I want to learn. Okay, thank you. Number one and three, good. Number one, effective classroom management, all of them. Classroom management, perfect, perfect. One and four, the use of technology. Number three, the effective use of questioning techniques. Wow, very good. Number two, effective use of data. Thank you, guys. Number one seems to come up quite frequently in terms of classroom management techniques. Good. Number four, number one and three, questioning techniques, effective questioning techniques. Good. Excellent. I see a lot of one, two, well, actually, all of them have come up equally with an emphasis on number one and number three. All right, here we go. Let's jump right into this. Do you think that there's a relationship between classroom management and creating a positive learning environment? Now, before you write your answers down, I'd like you to think carefully about why you're saying yes or no. Okay, so before you say yes or no, all right, I want you to think about why you're saying yes or no. Do you think there's a relationship between classroom management and creating a positive learning environment? Okay, and once you've written down your answer of yes and no, yes or no, I'd like you to take a moment to write in the text in the comment section the why. What's the why behind the link between why you think there's a link between classroom management and positive and creating a positive learning environment? What's the why?
Good. I see quite a few answers coming up. An effectively managed class is a good learning environment. Good. Perfect. Thank you. Wow. Excellent stuff. Very, very good. I see a lot of thought-provoking answers. But the answer is yes, there is a relationship. So let's jump right into it. Before we start, let's establish a few basics related to classroom management. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions. You don't need to write the answers down. This is something you need to ask yourself. You can write the answer down for yourself. Now, obviously, I think you have a good sense of the answers, your personal teaching and learning styles, and the other aspects of this slide. But let's ask ourselves this: what's my teaching and learning style? Is it teacher centered? Is it student centered? Or is it a combination of the two? What type of engagement or interaction levels am I looking for in my classroom? Do I want a high engagement level? Do I want a medium amount of engagement level? Or am I looking for, or is there a low amount of engagement? So I'll give you about a minute to look at this and make notes for yourself. What about your focus on your objectives? Do you focus on knowledge or skills or both? What is the size of your classes? Are they small, medium, or large? And what is the age range of the students you teach? Are they younger students or are they older students? Okay, good. Excellent. Perfect stuff. Now, once we consider these aspects of classroom management, the learning styles, the engagement levels, the focus on your objectives, the size of your class, what is the age range of your students, then there's a number of other factors that we need to consider. Okay? And these factors include effective planning, class rules and behavioral expectations. Are you consistent in your in the way you apply your expectations and the way you manage your class rules? Are the student-centered activities, other activities, resources, and assessments, are they student-centered? Do students get involved in your class with the assessments and the activities that you have? Do students get involved in designing some of the projects and assessments in your class? What about the seating arrangements? Do you understand students through data? All right, so let's have a look at The one thing that we're going to focus on for today is actually looking at classroom management through the lens of seating arrangements. And you'll see why I've selected seating arrangements, because it takes us to the next part of our presentation as well. Okay, now, can I can you recognize the following seating arrangements? Okay, you've seen them. You've seen these seating arrangements. Some of you use them: rows, columns, horseshoe arrangement, the clusters, or one that's used not so frequently in schools, more in universities, is the stadium uh, arrangement. So here's my question: which arrangement do you use or prefer? That's the first question, right? And then think about, how does your choice or your arrangement help create a positive learning environment in your class? Okay, I see a lot of C's, I see A, I see a B. Good. Some people said I use all of them, but quite a few A's, quite a few C's. Good. Thank you, guys. All right. How does it help create a positive learning environment? Your choice. So if you said clusters, tell me how it creates a positive learning environment. If you said rows or columns, tell me how it creates a positive learning environment. So someone said it all depends on the type of activity you're running. Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. Okay. But the question was, which one do you use most often? Nice. And one of the things I see coming up quite often is, while there is a preference, many people are saying, I use a combination of those depending on the activity. Now, that tells me a lot, because I agree with the fact that the choice of seating arrangement is based on the needs of that activity. So there'll be a time when you'll take an assessment, and most probably the best assessment arrangement would be rows and columns. But there'll be other times when you have group work and group discussions, which are also assessed, but are being assessed as group work. Then you'd use clusters and groups. When you have students make a presentation, like a court case, or a debate, or someone coming up to present their ideas and justify their arguments, then you'd want to use the horseshoe. And for example, you have everyone sitting on the horseshoe being the jury, and the person standing up front is the advocate, the defender, or the prosecutor. Good. There is sometimes a need for the stadium presentation. I've seen a few classes at schools that use it, and generally this is more in a debate model. So when there's a lot of debating going on in a class, in certain classes that teach specifically debating skills, I've seen the stadium model used. Thank you, guys. All right, now let's think about the cluster model for a moment. Many of you said, I use Model C. How do you decide which groups to place students in? Now, that's a big question. I'm going to give us about 2 minutes to write our answers down. Think about how, so before you write your answers down, guys, think about this. What am I using to decide where I'm going to place my students, in which groups? Or do I do it randomly? Heterogeneous groups, okay. Ability groups, I see some of that. A lot of people are saying mixed and random. Bindu has said according to the levels of the students. All right. Nikki has said ability. Good. Samira has said mixed ability groups. Colina, you said based on learning objectives. Good. All right, so great stuff. I've been hearing a few things about high achievers. I've been hearing about, I've been reading people state things like ability groups, levels, and so on. But here's something I want you to consider for a moment. How do you decide which groups to place students in? It's not what you do in the class, but the question was, how do you decide? And actually, the best way from an educational perspective and from a pedagogical perspective is using data, data, and more data. Okay, so now that we've put the word data in there, my question is, think about your practices. What kind of data do you use in your classes? Let's hear. So thinking about this, right? If you've ever used data to group students, write down in the comment box, write down what data you've used to group your students. Good. Multiple intelligences, assessment reports, learning styles, diagnostic test data. Right, good stuff. Assessment data, formative assessments, summative assessments, prior knowledge, gap analysis, academic data. Wow, very, very good, guys. And these are assessments that people have used. So when you're writing them down, these are data that you've used to place students in groups, right? Very, very good. Language, numeracy, assessment data, observations, good. And observations from previous grades, meaning the teachers left a log of comments about students in that grade. Mostly assessment, creative evaluation, diagnostic assessments. Thank you, guys. Summative assessments and formative assessments. Thank you, Shivani. Very nice. Good, good, good. I see, Suchi, you said observations during class. Very nice. Meenakshi, you've spoken about worksheets. Good stuff. Anuradha, you've spoken about anecdotal records. So important, right? These are things you pick up on the go rather than an official formal observation. Very nice. So let's look a little bit about at data. Data, if used consistently and correctly, will allow teachers to create a positive learning environment through the following ways. Now, you will, as you go through this, you'll see a lot of your answers on there. Okay, so you'll see a lot of the things you've written down are found on this list. The learning gaps helps to identify the learning gaps in student learning, and if we know what the gaps are, we'll know how to fix those gaps. Therefore, we will be able to prevent student frustration and even potential behavior issues. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about that first one. All right. So, identifying gaps and the link between learning gaps and behavioral issues. How many, just say yes or no. if you've ever had students with behavior problems in your class, as in they disturb the learning of themselves and other people in the class. Just a yes or no. Right, I see a large number of yeses. All right, and I think the average teacher would say yes, right? They'd say, yes, I have had students with behavioral issues. So often, from an educational point of view, we treat the behavioral issues as something wrong with the attitude of the student. Okay, but if you had to stop for a moment and go back and have a look at why the student is showing behavioral issues, there is a lot of evidence and a lot of research that goes into showing that there's a link between the learning gaps, students getting frustrated, right, and them not really understanding what's expected of them, and they show this in their behavior. So if a student is showing behavior issues in your class, one of the things you could do is stop, go back and have a look at, is the learning expectations clear? Are there any gaps in their learning that are making them frustrated and playing out as behavior issues? So the other part is identifying strengths and making sure that you have an appropriate level of challenge. Now, look at the second one, right? The level of challenge. Sometimes, if a child is not challenged appropriately, meaning that the work is too easy for them, it may show itself as behavior problems. Do behavior problems affect the creation of a positive learning environment? Absolutely. It does, right? Not only for that student, not only for other learners, but also it also impacts your ability to keep that class positive. All right. So making sure that you know your students and their level of challenge. So how do you know the level of students of the level of challenge of your students? Know the data. Have a look at their performance levels. And you know what? If you know the strengths of your students and their level of challenge, you will ensure that the high flyers in your class will not become bored, and you will ensure that those with low ability do not become frustrated. Grouping students appropriately using their strengths, personality types. And we spoke about grouping, right? But every one of these things, strengths, personality types, learning styles, areas of expertise, and leadership capabilities, these are all also forms of data. Someone mentioned anecdotal data. Other people spoke about just collecting data about their strengths and weaknesses. There you go. And once you look at all of these things, these are great ways in which we can group students. All right. Motivating students both intrinsically and extrinsically. Intrinsically, most of us want students to be motivated from inside, but actually speaking, we need to provide a good balance of rewards that will motivate them and to stay on track with their learning. Help students feel recognized, respected, and valued. So if you're using the correct data, students will feel, wow, he's recognized me, or she has respected me as a learner and feel valued. And then once you look at your data, guys, I can't emphasize this enough. Having spent more than 30 years in education, data has helped me to plan my lessons. Uh, and has also helped me to lead teachers to plan lessons appropriately so that you're meeting the needs of every single student in the class. So this comes down to differentiation and personalized instruction, making the correct resources, and making sure that the assessment contains questions that will challenge students appropriately. Now, looking at the use of data, Which one of those areas do you think you would like to improve in the most for yourself? So this is what would happen if we use data to create a positive learning environment. I'd like you to just write down one area from the 6 areas listed that you would like to develop the most in yourself. Thank you, Anita. So you'd like to develop strengths and make sure that you have the correct and appropriate level of challenge. Great stuff. Thank you, Teresa, talking about learning gaps and understanding how to use them in the classroom. Sushma, you're speaking about motivating students both intrinsically and extrinsically. Thank you, Paulina. It's about using your ability to, or using the ability to plan appropriately for students. Thank you. Indrani, you spoke about number 4 and number 5, motivation and helping students feel respected and recognized. Good stuff. And I think all of us, if we are in lifelong learning mode, we'd find something in here to develop ourselves in. Good stuff. Thank you guys for sharing. So what kind of data do you use or can you use to create a positive learning environment? All right. I'd like you to list down as many as you can. Okay? Just write down as many as you can. What kind of data do you use or can you use to create a positive learning environment? Just list them down. So what kind of data do you use to create a positive learning environment? Starter activities, good. Excellent. Previous records, very useful. Thank you. Types of learners. Behavior records, very, very good. Portfolios, excellent. And behavioral patterns. Gauri speaks about grades and anecdotal data, very nice. Shanarai speaks about exit tickets, very, very good. And someone spoken about entry tickets. Excellent ideas, very, very good. Let's have a look at some of the data that we can use in our classes. Okay, and you may see some of your ideas listed here. And if you don't, it's not wrong. It just means you can add on to this list. Okay, good. So here's your student. Your student is at the center of all of this. There we go. External data. This is from standardized testing, things like CAT4, things like maps, and any other external data that you may use in your schools. I know some schools use ACER and a range of other external data tests. Internal data. These are all of the tests that you use internally for your exams, tests to get that you would use to inform parents about student progress in your school reports. Behavior logs, and this is feedback from teachers both in the current year and from previous years. IEPs, which is individual educational plans, and these are for students who have special needs And generally, some schools will only write an IEP for students that have an actual diagnosis. And this is where you use diagnostic tests. Self and peer assessment data, really useful, right? Because how do you know how a student is feeling about their learning or the learning that's taking place in the class with their peers? And lastly, student perceptions. Wow, student perceptions are such an important part. How do students perceive surveys? Okay, how do they perceive the learning? And this is through surveys and reflection journals. But actually, for now, is there anything that I've I've not listed here? Okay, there's no need for you to write it down, but think about it. If I'm sure there's a range of other things, just add it on to this list. This is a standardized general list, and I'm sure that based on your personal experience in your school, you could add on a few more. All right. What I want to do right now is to actually focus in on one of these, which is student perceptions. Now, student perceptions play such an important role, guys, in developing a clear understanding of how the student is feeling about their learning. So, some ways in which you can get this information is through surveys, reflection journals, conversations with students, anecdotal engagement with students, just listening into what they're saying to other students in group work. Okay, this is so important because it really comes down to speaking about the well-being of the student. So if you want to create a positive learning environment, listen to what students are saying, get information about what they're saying. And when that information comes in, it tells you a little bit about, well, a lot about the well-being of the students. And these come from the 5 most basic emotional needs, according to Robert Reasoner, okay? And the 5 most basic emotional needs are the psychological needs, a positive uh, self image, a feeling of belonging, a purpose in their behavior, and a sense of competence or achievement. But while these may not necessarily be something you could recall off the top of your head, this is something that you guys know of, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, starting from the physiological needs, going up all the way to self actualization. And when you look at this, most of us have studied Maslow's hierarchy of needs in our teacher training, and we still use it every single day in our teaching when we start to look at student perceptions. Why are students not behaving, or why are students not achieving the way we want them to achieve? Is it linked to areas of well-being, the psychological aspects, the self-image, the belonging, the purpose-driven nature of your class? Is there opportunities for them to feel competent? Are the safety needs taken care of? Is there love and belonging in that class? Are you feeding them opportunities to build their self-esteem? And in taking all of these, self-actualization in the in the learning context is actually about taking all of these and creating an environment where students can thrive. They can improve in their learning. They can show progress, and they can show that they are ready to move on to the next level of their education, whether it's moving from grade 4 to grade 5, or whether it's moving from grade 12 to university, or whether it's moving from middle school to high school, or whether it's moving from being on the send list, students with special education needs, to moving out of the send list because they've picked up and accomplish themselves in a way where they've developed the areas that they were weak in and are ready to move on. Now, I'd like for us to look at this case study. Okay. Now, just for a moment, I'd like you to take a moment to read the case study. I will read it for you. A few people have mentioned that they can't see the screen clearly. I know that Suraasa has put up a little note to say, please check your network connection, because your network connection may impact the how clearly you can see the screen. But I will read it for you. You are the head of grade at an international school offering the ICSE and the IB. You are concerned about one of your 10th grade classes. Their overall results in maths have dropped consistently over the past 4 months since the beginning of the school year. There have been complaints from parents about students not enjoying the maths class. The maths teacher himself has come to you and said, I'm fed up of the attitude of students in the class. A few students have asked if they can change their maths class. You've noticed that this is not happening in the other classes. However, they seem to especially thrive in their music class. In fact, there's been lots of positive feedback from parents and students about the music class. Based on this data that you've collected thus far, what do you think are some of the reasons for the issues in the math class? Take a moment to think about it, and let's write down some of our reasons in the comment box. Okay, but I'd also like you to think about, now that we've spoken about the needs of students, okay, so we've spoken about the data, the reason why student perception is so important in relation to their emotional needs and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, using all of this, can you tell me what do you think are some of the reasons for the issues in the math class? So let's zone in on that. Nice, I like your answer, Deepa. More informing than involving the students. The teacher methodology may not match the needs of the students. Good. It's not building up, thank you, Sanipa, that is not building up the esteem of students. Discrepancy in the lowest rung of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, yeah. Anu, maybe the class is not engaged enough, yeah. No differentiation, thank you, Anu. Nice. One-sided teaching means it's all maybe teacher focused, like you said. Old teaching methods. Thank you, Dimple. Sutha, you spoke about a lack of planning. Good. Nice. Ekta, you spoke about a lecture method. RT, you spoke about a lack of activities. Yeah, great ideas. Now, one of the things I would do is go and check what's the learning abilities. So I look at things like CAT4, MAP, and their data in the other classes. Okay, and if I found out that these students were all high ability students, meaning they were high flyers, everyone in the class was a high flyer, what do you think might be a reason for the issues that are taking place in the class? if the case was that every single student in the class was a high flyer? I see a one size fit all approach here. But what do you think might be a reason if all students were high flyers? Yeah, questions not challenging enough. So students are bored, they're angry, they're frustrated. Lack of appreciation of their ability levels. Good, very, very nice. Thank you, Menon. Lack of appreciation. Fatima, maybe the teacher's behavior. Yeah. Mark, on the ball. Maybe they bored. They just not. It's not make. They're not. The activities are not helping them learn. They've covered it before. They know this already. They want to move on, but maybe the teacher is not helping them move on. Good. Boringness. Yeah. Students are bored. Learning gaps. Good. Very, very nice. Excellent. And so, what advice would you give if you had to give the teacher one bit of advice? Okay, so think about what you want to say and write it down in one sentence. All right, if you had to give this teacher, the maths teacher, some advice, what advice would you give that maths teacher? Now, you've given me some great ideas. You've told me what you think are some of the reasons, and let's assume that many of these reasons are correct, because they do point back to the emotional needs of students and Maslow's hierarchy of needs and students' learning needs not being met. So, what advice would you give to that teacher? Use Kagan strategies, yeah, to get them motivated. Think about the formative nature of learning to build up their confidence. Very nice. I like that. Self evaluation. Thank you, Hector. Nice. Good, Govind. You spoke about taking feedback from students. Set high expectations. PD, you spoke about student surveys and take those surveys to replan. Very nice. More differentiation in the class. Peer checks, nice. Peer mentoring, very, very good. Because peer mentoring is possible, right, in this class, because students are already at that higher level. They all are able to they're at a mastery level where they could teach others. So use that to your advantage as a teacher. Very good responses. Well done, guys. All right. So students thrive when they feel valued, respected, and appropriately challenged. Okay. Now, what are some ways that you can challenge your students appropriately? So we spoke about boredom. We spoke about students being frustrated earlier because they're not being challenged appropriately. Here's my question. How can you challenge students appropriately? Okay, make each class interesting using different methods. Project-based learning, very good. Real life examples, I love it. Good stuff, guys. Well done. All right, make them interesting. Peer mentoring, very, very good. Including more quizzes for formative assessment, differentiating more. Project-based learning, I see PBL. Great stuff. Thank you, Hector. Group projects. Case-based studies, very nice. Flipped classroom. I see someone that said HOTS, very good. And we'll talk a little bit about HOTS shortly. Case studies, surprise quizzes, engage the students, flipped learning, conducting projects, peer learning, Role plays, very nice. Good. I have to say I'm really enjoying reading these answers from you. Very, very good. It shows me a lot of insight into your teaching practices. Well done, guys. I'm impressed. All right. Now, what are some ways that you can challenge students appropriately? Well, here's some ideas. Now, these are not the only ways in which you can challenge students appropriately, but this is a great starting point. And please feel free to add on any of the answers that you've given me thus far on here. Give students choice and voice. Project-based learning is an amazing way of doing this. All right, give them a choice box, a choice board where they write down their choices and then they have a voice. Let them vote on which one they want to do. Set high standards. Don't be afraid to set high standards. The initial parts of that class or the initial weeks of that class may end up with students feeling a bit demotivated, but if you are positive in your feedback, if you consider their emotional needs and you look at ways to motivate them appropriately, you have the making of a very positive learning environment. Allow students to reflect on their current performance and set realistic targets. So set targets. And while students, a mom or dad may say, "No, I don't want the 3, I want the 7," or "I don't want 75%, I want 100%." The realistic targets, and this is you playing a part with educating parents and being consistent in the way you relate to parents and inform parents that the targets set for students in your class are based on realistic goals. And while they have a very high target in mind, it is achievable as long as these points in their learning or these different achievement targets in their learning are achieved. Ask the right type of questions in class and in assessment. Promote structured collaboration. Ask a variety or use a variety of activities and resources that fit all learning styles. Now, the one that I want to focus on, and I'm sure you guys have a wide range of other uh, mechanisms and suggestions that you can add on to this here, right? But the one I want to focus on is ask the right type of questions in your class. So here's a little thing just to get you thinking, right? Do you think that asking the right types of questions can help create a positive learning environment in the class? Yes or no? Okay. I mean, sometimes we think I can ask a lot of. So this is not, guys. This is not about asking a lot of questions. Okay, this is asking the right type of questions. Do you think that it helps create a positive learning environment? Yeah, open discussion. Good stuff. I see well, there's no no's except for a few. All right. I see a couple of no's, and I would strongly encourage the people that have said no to kind of follow through with what we're saying in this part of the masterclass, and to ask questions at the end if you feel that you're still confused about why asking the right type of questions can help. The answer is yes. Now let's have a look at a couple of things. First of all, let's look at the types of questions that we can ask. All right. Now, most of us know this already, so this is a quick recap. Questions are broken up into two different types. The one that is based on building learning, all right, so this is helping students to learn, and the other one is checking whether they've learned. So in educational terms, we call them learning-oriented questions and evaluation-oriented questions. And here's a whole range of question types that can be asked: leading questions, open-ended questions, probing questions, convergent and divergent questions. There you go. For the people that didn't know what HOTS was, this is where HOTS come in. HOTS stands for higher order thinking skills. Okay, higher order thinking skills. And on the other side of that, you have lots, which is lower order thinking skills. And this is so important because they play a role in helping students become successful. If you only ask higher order thinking skills questions or higher order questions in class, you may end up with frustrated kids or behavioral problems. You could use lower order thinking skills or lower order questions to build confidence and help students move towards higher order thinking skills. Good. So, how do you choose the most appropriate level of questioning? Okay, anyone? Let's see you write your answers in in the box. Good. Various strategies. Children's ability. Good. Previous knowledge. And I think all of these hinge questions, factual, conceptual, and debatable questions. Good. I see that we have some MYP teachers in the class. Good. All right. And the most important part of knowing how to choose the most appropriate level of questions is by knowing your students. How can you get to know your students? Use the data that you have, understand their ability levels, you ask the appropriate level of questions. Okay, and here's everyone's seen this, we know this already, we use it every day. Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy has ranges or moves up from the low ability levels, which is the starting point. This is remember, okay, and takes you all the way up to the top, the highest level, which is create. Now, guys, I want to emphasize something here about questioning techniques. This is important because you cannot understand something before unless you remember it. And you are not able to analyze data unless you've understood the data and was able to apply it first before you analyze it. And it is not possible to create something unless a student has passed the remember, understand, apply, analyze, and evaluate part of this of Bloom's taxonomy learning experience. Now, when I say learning experience, I mean that you take students on a journey, build their confidence, build their understanding, build their ability to engage with the content, to apply it, to analyze it, and then get to a place where they create. And remember, if you're ever asking students to create something that they've already learned about or know, then that not truly create. Because create in this context is creating something in an unknown uh, in an unknown context or in a to solve a problem that they've not experienced or engaged with before. Good. Now, at this point, do you have any questions about how Bloom's taxonomy can be used to ensure that you're asking the appropriate level of questions of students? Just a yes or no would do for now. Good. Excellent. And actually, the important part is this: making sure that you ask sufficient questions in the remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create bands of Bloom's taxonomy. And I've given you some command terms on the side, like define, identify, recall, under remember, or distinguish, differentiate, compare, under analyze, or construct, propose, or devise under the create. And these are ways in which you will know how to challenge your students appropriately. Now, what does that mean? It means simply that if you ask the student to summarize information and they are unable to summarize it, okay, then you do not move on to apply for that student. It simply means that you go back to remember and use the remember phase, all right? You use the remember part of your learning experience to build their confidence in a manner that will help them understand how to summarize. For example, if I ask the student to summarize a paragraph on World War II, on the weapons used during World War II, okay? And if they were not able to summarize it, then I would go back and say, hey, can you recall any of the weapons? Can you write a list of the weapons that were used? And if they say, yes, I remember the list, okay, then I would ask them to list it down, okay, and then I'd say, okay, you've written down 5 weapons. Yes, let's use the top 3 lessons and write a summary of how each, or write a sentence or 2 about how each weapon was used. Can you see what I've done? I've given instructions and I've built confidence in each of those learners to help them move on to the next level. And once they're able to summarize it, okay, I may then say a soldier is put into an environment where there is a lot of haze in the air, okay, and they're unable to see far. What kind of weapon do you think would be best for that soldier to use? Now they are starting to apply the knowledge they've learned about weapons and move on from there. A create model would be a soldier has been thrown into the Amazon forest. There are lots of tribes that have their homemade weapons. And the weapons can cause lots of physical bodily harm. Design at least 3 weapons and body armor for the soldier to be able to survive in the Amazon forest. Okay, so this is how and now notice what I've done in my journey that I've created around the World War II weapons, right? All I've done is I've gone back and forward and I've helped to build confidence through allowing the student to succeed and become motivated to say, yes, I can do this, and then move on to the next level. Good, good, good. What do you guys feel about that explanation? Does it help to make Bloom's taxonomy a bit more realistic in the context of helping students get challenged appropriately? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. The examples I've given, does it help you to build a better understanding of how to challenge students appropriately? Thank you very much. I see a lot of yeses. Perfect. Good stuff. I'm glad you found that useful. And these are ways in which we can start to build student confidence. And student confidence leads to students being happy. And happy students lead to the creation of a positive learning environment. Good. Now, let's talk about, you've all seen this before in different ways, right? You've seen, these are the learning styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. And our job as teachers is to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all students. Now, I remember earlier we spoke about students becoming bored because they're not challenged appropriately, but they could be bored also if their primary learning style. Now, I want to make sure that uh, I make this clear that there's no student with only one learning style. There's students with multiple learning styles where one of them is more dominant than the others. Okay, so if you're teaching, if you are thinking around, well, I'm only going to be challenging a student with one learning style because that's the only thing that I think you'll succeed in, that's not the way to go. But we do know that students have dominant learning styles. If you are not sure about what their learning styles are, there are very nice inventories and surveys on the internet. You just need to go on Google and say learning style inventory or learning style survey, and you could use it and with your students, and it'll give you some really useful data. Okay, and you'll notice that I've put on the side some pictures, some information about what it looks like. So, for example, visual is the use of pictures, diagrams, illustrations, and the use of, in kinesthetic, is the use of activities and experiences. But I've also included some QR codes that will give you information on each one of these, so that you, in your personal time, can start to build your understanding of each of these learning styles. But where am I going to with this? We live in a time in history where all of these can be done through a manner that appeals a lot to students, to I would say 100% of your students, and that is through technology. So if we had to look at these four learning styles through the need, through meeting their needs using technology, then here's a list of technology-based programs, apps, and information that you could use with your students to engage them in a way that would pull them in, attract them because of their dominant learning style. And students would now feel validated, students will feel interested, students will feel motivated, and all of this will lead to student success. I want to share with you another QR code, and this QR code is actually one that will take you to these learning resources that you see there, and it gives you web pages and links to each one of them and how to use them. So please feel free to access these, because they are a very valuable resource in challenging students appropriately, meeting their needs, and creating a learning environment that is positive. So I guess the bottom line behind all of this is students who are engaged meaningfully and appropriately will thrive. And one of the key aspects of creating a positive learning environment is the use of correct resources to engage students in their dominant learning style. And what better way to go than with technology? Because this is something that every student would be excited about. We've all heard the word gamify, meaning make learning experiences and expose them to apps that are like games. Okay, because I don't think I know of any student that doesn't like games. Okay, like the digital games that you play on your computer. And if you can find some apps that are gamified, this is an amazing way to pull them in, to get them excited, and to encourage them and to keep them motivated. All right. Now, some final considerations. We've spoken about a few very, very important things related to creating a positive learning environment. But there's a few more that I just want to leave with you so that we close the loop on our discussion. Set clear expectations. How do we set clear expectations? Make them explicit, means make them absolutely clear. Make sure that you're consistent with that. That every single time every time you meet them, you use the opportunity to make those expectations, whether it's behavioral expectations, whether it's expectations in an assessment, or whether it's group work expectations. Be consistent with that. And lastly, make sure that it's relevant. Relevant as in, there's no generic way of setting out these expectations, given the fact that your classroom may change in terms of the classroom, the setup of desks, the seating arrangement may change. So the expectations need to be relevant to the seating arrangement you're using. You need to be explicit about what's expected so that you don't have one student dominating the discussion or bullying taking place. You need to be explicit about your expectations in assessments so students are set up for success, and do this consistently. And remember that in order to set clear expectations, it goes far beyond the classroom. Communicate frequently with all stakeholders. What does this mean? You are talking to your students, but make sure that you share these expectations with parents. Make sure that you share these expectations with teachers in your grade level, that you share these expectations with your administrators. And sometimes your administrator may come back to you and say, I'm sorry, that does not fit in with the vision and mission of the school. And then you'll have to change it. But that's why it's so important to communicate these expectations to your stakeholders. And some final considerations. A positive mindset, making sure you give positive feedback, and ensuring that there's positive interactions in the class, all lead to the creation of a positive learning environment. And really speaking, everything we've spoken about today should be pointing you and allowing you to go to the next level, become a version 2.0 of yourself in the way that you create a positive learning environment. All right, I have 2 activities for us as we start to move towards the end of our time together. All right, there's 2 activities. I'd like you to look at each one of them. The first one, we're all doing it together, and then we're going to put some comments on, right? All right, so the first one is a case study. The second one is a video. All right, so what do I want you to do with each one of them? I'll put these prompts up after we've looked at the case study or the video, but I want you to do, I want you to think about 2 things. Number one, do you think that this is a positive learning environment? Why or why not? And then learning everything that you've learned from this masterclass, all the way through the creation of a positive learning environment through classroom management techniques, seating arrangements, using of data, moving on to looking at the use of effective questioning and Bloom's taxonomy, and then the use of technology to support the learning styles, and everything else you've learned in this masterclass. What are some action steps that you can suggest? Simple action steps with practical suggestions and resources that you can share with the teacher. All right, here we go. Are we ready? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at this. And I am going to read the first case study. It will take me some time. I know you are fed up with hearing my voice, but I'm going to read it so that the people that cannot see the screen will know what's on the screen. Okay, here we go. The first case study is an application, is a case study from Mr. John's class. Mr. John is a grade 4 science teacher. He's teaching a topic on plants. Today's 30-minute lesson, the third lesson in this unit, will focus on the parts of a plant and their functions. He starts off the class by writing the following learning objective on the board. Today, we will learn about plants. He then proceeds to put up a PowerPoint slide of a plant and ask students if they know what he was showing them. Some of the students thought the question was funny and responded by saying, "Of course, we know what it is, Mr. John. We covered it in the last class." Mr. John ignored the comment and goes on to the next activity. Using the same slide, he asked students to provide labels for parts 1 to 5. He said he would give students 5 minutes. But after a minute, he notices that the students are starting to get distracted and chat amongst themselves. He quickly tries to prevent further distraction. He says, "All right then, Jenny and Faisal, are you done with the answers?" They both say yes, and he moves on to the next instruction. "Okay, now I would like you to spend the next 10 minutes to research the functions of parts 1 to 5 and write them down in your notebook. Once you're done, I'd like you to start answering questions 1 to 12 from page 47 of your textbook. Any questions that are not completed in class should be completed as homework." Rahul, a student sitting in the front row, raised his hands and said with excitement on his face, "Sir, I completed my homework from yesterday's class on plants and planet Earth. And I found out really cool facts like plants can actually store food in their roots. Did you know that a potato is a kind of a root?" Mr. John turns around to Raul and says, "That's good to hear, Raul. However, this is not the time to discuss this, as everyone has to complete their work. Come see me after class." Raul loses his smile, looks down at his book, and goes on with his work. Do you think that this is a positive learning environment? Why or why not? I see a few answers. No, no, we could have used inquiry method. It's not a positive learning environment. No. Can't see positive students. Good. Not a positive learning environment. There's no participation from students. No, 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 no. I see a lot of no's. There's no inquiry. No. No, it's not. Okay, here's the next question. Using what you have learned during this masterclass, suggest some action steps with practical suggestions and resources that you can share with Mr. John. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think about it and then write your answers in the chat or in the comment box. Okay, it's a teacher-centered class. Thought-provoking questions, very good. Student engagement, activity-based method, yeah. Use more of Bloom's taxonomy, nice. I'm starting to see people applying what they've learned so far. It's teacher-centered only. Make it more student-focused. You're right. Very good. The use of Bloom's taxonomy. You create groups for students to work. Yeah. Student engagement is a must. Very nice. Some very good suggestions for Mr. John. I think if he takes, oh, there we go, explore learning and field trips, change the seating arrangement. I think if he takes you guys' suggestions, he would have an amazing class. He would have a class that's so positive and full of students who are excited and set the tone for student success. Well done, guys. Clear objectives. Very good. I don't think that objective was clear. You're right. Effective questioning techniques using Bloom's taxonomy. Very good. Using using lots and hots to build student confidence. Nice. Excellent. More specific learning objectives. Real life applications. I didn't see any real life applications. A good one. That's a good one. Using Bloom's taxonomy to differentiate. Very good. So how would you have, here's the next question, right? How would you have responded to Rahul? How would you have responded to Rahul in this class? Motivate him, yeah. You should have answered Rahul and complimented him on his hard work. Good. Should have given him a chance to make a short presentation. I agree. I think that's such a great way to empower students. I agree, right? Nice. Encourage him. So here's a question for you, right? Here's something for you to consider. What are the chances, and I need you to stop for a moment and think about this, right? What are the chances that Rahul will put his hand up again and say, hey, Mr. John, I did something yesterday. Can I share with the class? What are the chances that he would do that again? High or low? Yeah, little chance, very low, low. Some people say high. I can see maybe if he's a motivated student himself, he'll still want to do it, but most of us are saying no. So really what you've done is you've killed the students' enthusiasm and excitement about learning. This is what Mr. John has done. And I think it's something for all of us to think about, even when we are trying to finish up our class and when we're trying to finish up the objectives, and especially for our high school teachers, if you're trying to complete the syllabus for an exam, don't forget about the Rahuls in our class, okay? All right, as we start to close up, I'm going to play us a video, all right? I need you to listen in carefully to the video that's playing, because it does show the class, a class of Mr. Smith. Now, I may choose to skip some parts of the video if needed, all right? But I do think we should be able to see most of the video. So the idea is, look at the video. You want to answer. you want to ask two questions, right? Do you think that this is a positive learning environment? Why or why not? And then using what you've learned in this masterclass, suggest some action steps that you could give to Mr. Smith.
Okay, everyone, settle down, settle down. Thank you. Okay, today we're starting a new unit of work on the weather. Okay, pretty important. So if we could please open up your books, thanks, and just write that heading down, the weather. So on your table you'll find a word search. On that word search, I'll spend a bit of time putting it together. Is everything we're going to be doing in this little unit on the next couple of days, in the next couple of lessons, is in that word search. So all I'm going to do is give you 20 minutes or so just to go through in silence, please, and complete that word search. Yes, Tom, what is it?
What's aurora borealis?
Aurora borealis. Okay, hands down, everybody. Aurora borealis. Does anyone know? Mary, what do you think?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
Fair enough. Anyone else? Bill, what do you reckon?
I don't know, sir.
Well, it's obviously coming from a pretty low base then, isn't it? Okay, the Aurora borealis, for those of you who don't know, Mary, Bill, Tom, it's the term used to refer to the northern lights found in the northern hemisphere.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I see a few people saying that the audio is not clear. Can you try to put on some earphones, please? Just to kind of zone in on, because on my side, the audio sounds clear, and I've checked with Suraasa on their side, it is clear. Okay, so if you can put some earphones on, I'll give you about 30 seconds to get those earphones, put them on so that you can listen to Mr. Smith's class. All right, and then we'll start the video from there. Okay. Thank you, Vidu. Thank you, Sina. And I know that it is clear for many of us, but I'm getting quite a few entries in the comment box to say that it's not clear. All right, I'm going to go on now with the video as people start to connect their audio devices like earphones to make it clearer for them. Okay. Thank you, guys. Here we go.
Okay, so if you can all remember that, please. Aurora borealis, northern lights. Okay, off you go. All right, everybody, that'll do. That's plenty of time.
So I haven't finished yet.
Oh. Well, we must get over. How about we just finish it off for homework, okay? All right, so we can put that word search away and we'll get stuck into the weather. Now, I've got some notes up on the board there that we need to make sure we've got in our notebooks.
So we did this in science last term.
Well, that's good because this stuff's pretty important. So I've got them up on the board there. Can everyone see that? Okay, if we can start copying down. First thing is that the weather, okay, as it says up there, the definition, it's a state of the atmosphere over a short period of time. Now, its state of the atmosphere includes the following. The temperature, how hot or cold the air is. And that's measured by, anyway?
Thermometer.
Yep, well done. The next one, humidity, the amount of moisture in the air. Obviously, when it's raining, there's a lot of moisture in the air. But at other times, there can be moisture in the air and we don't know it. But we can feel it because we get what happens to us when there's a lot of moisture in the air.
Do you become humid?
Yeah, we become humid, yeah. How do we know that? Yes. You begin to
Sweat?
sweat. Very good. If the air is dry, it takes the sweat away, absorbs all that water off us very quickly. If it's not, if there's a lot of moisture in the air, it doesn't take that sweat away, and we sweat and become sweaty. And the last one there is cloud cover. So a day like today, there's cloud cover pretty universally across the sky. We can say that it's a cloudy day. Enough of me now. What I'd like to throw it over to you, on the bottom there, there's a question, list 5. Okay, settle down. Okay, let's quickly, we've finished our brainstorming there. Let's have a quick look. What have you come up with? 5 ways the weather affects our everyday lives. Anyone?
When it rains, you have to stay inside.
Okay, good. What you do in the day?
Personal hygiene companies.
First of all, what do you mean by that?
Or like deodorant for when it gets really humid or hot and sweating. It's like a whole industry just based on the weather.
Well, that wasn't too bad, I suppose. So I've got a couple that I'll put up on the board. Okay, so if you can copy these down and perhaps add them to your file.
All right. You had a look at Mr. Smith's class. I'd like you to think about, do you think that this is a positive learning environment? Why or why not? I see people have been writing comments thus far. A lot of very appropriate comments like his body language, the way he treats students, all of that stuff. But let's just quickly zone in on this class. Let's answer the question. Do you think that this is a positive learning environment? Think of yourself as a student in this class. Do you think that you would have experienced a positive learning experience? And would you have been part of a positive learning environment? Why or why not? Good. It's not child-centric. Students are not motivated. Doesn't encourage any interaction or good quality questioning. The teacher's thoughts are not clear. Yeah, I see a good one there. The activity, the word search is not age appropriate. These are most probably grade 9 or 10 students, maybe even older. Okay, not appropriate for their age level. Good. Nice. It's not a give and take environment. I like that. It's not, he was just giving and he was not taking the responses. I mean, when the girl spoke about the deodorant as a very positive aspect of this, of humid weather, he didn't value her response, right? And I think that's a very important learning experience for us. Okay, let's move on. Using what you've learned during this class, suggest some action steps with practical suggestions and resources that you can share with Mr. John. Now, if you have already listed it, please copy paste it again or just write it in again so that it's now relevant to the end of Mr. Smith's video, and you are giving practical suggestions and action steps for Mr. Smith. You need to stand up more and move around, not sitting all the time while he's teaching. He does not care, it's careless. There's no peer participation or opportunities. Good. Consider student questions more seriously. Very good. Very nice. The teacher himself was not interested. He didn't show any interest. Very nice. Value creativity and interaction. Very nice. Better body language and real life experiences and examples. Harpreet says no positive environment. Geeta, no differentiation. Pooja, lecture method. Rajiv speaks about no probing. He didn't go deeper in any one of those things. Very, very good. Hindi speaks about the teacher being more active. Swapna talks about creating more opportunities for motivation for the students. Lovely. Nice. Elizabeth, you spoke about experiments being included. Yes, this is a great topic for experiments. Rihanna, I think you hit on something so important. It didn't look like this teacher was planned. And if it was, then there's something wrong with his planning. Very good. Jyoti, you spoke about he's sitting all the time and looking at his watch. What does it say about his interest and his willingness to meet the students where they are? Nice. Mr. Split needs to update himself. The class should be more interactive and well planned. Guys, I think again, if I gave all of these suggestions to Mr. John as action steps for him to improve, I think that would be a great start for Mr. Smith to improve himself. I see the mistake there. I said Mr. John should have been Mr. Smith. As we close up, guys, I wanted to share with you a bunch of resources that are related to the creation of a learning environment, a positive learning environment, and resources that can be used for that in the classroom. All right. Please use the QR code to download the resource. It is a PDF document that you'll be able to, that has each of these links accessible. So you'll be able to click on them and open them up. I hope you found this really, really useful. I want to thank you for spending time with me. I want to open up, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes. I want to open up for questions if you have any. Okay. All right. There we go. That's the QR code. And guys, if you wanted access to all of this, please subscribe to Suraasa's YouTube channel. All right, you'll get a copy of this. You'll be able to access this because this will be recorded and stored on the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to access this later. So please subscribe to Suraasa's YouTube channel. All right, questions for me. All right. Suraasa will also be extracting the links for the QR codes, putting them down on the YouTube channel so that you can access them. Thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed your time with me. I see a lot of thank yous and statements about the fact that you've taken away something that could help you in your classroom. And if there's no more questions, thank you very, very much. Please feel free to leave. Absolute pleasure. I see a lot of thank yous. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being a great audience and for engaging with me through the comment box. It was a really enjoyable session for me as well.